Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning. We're just here in Canada with Robert Reddle, and he's going to take us around now around some of the memorials. Fire away, Robert.
Okay, I'm here in the city center of Ottawa. Near to the Parliament building is this war memorial monument. And as I come closer, you can see better maybe, because we have a gray sky, so I do not have lots of light. But this should change now.
In true Canadian fashion, we didn't rush this memorial. The design competition was held in 1925. It 17 feet high, representing peace and freedom, depiction of 22 Canadian servicemen from all branches of the forces with World War I historically correct uniforms. And to avoid foreshortening for the people looking at the memorial, every soldier is 7'9" tall.
They were big, John.
Well, everything's bigger in Canada. Come on. And the contract for the construction was awarded in 1937. And in May, King George VI unveiled it in front of 100,000 people, just 1 month before the Second World War started. It's a little ironic. Another statue to the war to end all wars. Features 23 bronze figures. Yeah, just hold it on that, Robert. That's a great shot. Now, when I was a kid, these were all kind of they were bronze, and they had aged with oxidization, and they were kind of a green color, which kind of almost matched the military uniforms. But because of acid rain and things, they've all been coated in a protective dark black coating, which is a little less appealing than the way they used to be. So this is the site that everybody will be at on November 11th. It's the nationally televised Remembrance Day ceremony. The Governor General, the Prime Minister, representatives of the royal family will all be there. A sailor in the background, the senior service, they call that.
John.
Whoa.
John, Sheila mentioned that she's going to have to bug out. If she has a message that she would like to give this veteran here,
Okay.
His name is CT. He'd love to hear it.
Okay. Just thank you for your wonderful service you've given to the country. It's much appreciated.
The tomb of the unknown soldier is at the base of this monument.
Yeah, we saw it at the beginning. I'm now on the other side of the monument, featuring a cannon. I try to get closer because of the backlight.
It's very clear. It's great reception.
Yeah, we are in the city center, in downtown, so LTE should be fine. We're modern technology that brings us together. I show you a little bit the surroundings. So if I just turn around, we will go there later. You see a part of the eastern part of the Parliament building over there. And there I plan to go in a few minutes to show you the eternal flame. And I continue to walk around the monument. We are still on the back side. Try to get you some details here.
The Tomb of the Unknown Soldier was created to honor the more than 120,000 Canadians, whether they be Navy, Army, Air Force, or Merchant Marine, who died or may have died for their country in all the conflicts, past, present, and future. So this, on November 11th, this square will be absolutely the main center point. You can see people have already been.
What's the description, John?
Please treat this grave like an unknown soldier with respect.
They were asking, are those poppies on the grave there? Is that what it is, Robert?
This is mainly, we can see a sword and some leaves and a helmet.
And people have put poppies down.
Ah, yeah, the flowers, yes. Mm-hmm.
And Robert, they were asking where you're from. Can you tell people where you're from?
I'm from Vienna, Austria, and I'm in Ottawa at the moment. So I took the chance to come here to show you this monument at the Parliament Hill. And it's quite a huge park here, so I believe in the ceremonies this will look really nice when this place is filled. So if you are okay, I try to go towards the Parliament building now. This will involve 5 minutes of camera shake and walking.
That's okay.
So, John, while he's doing that, do you want to go to Ron? I see he's ready.
Okay.
Sure. Ron, you're alive now.
Ron, can you hear us?
Ron, can you hear us? We've just got the image now.
I can hear you fine. I just had to flip it around to see the icon to stop the mute.
Have
Right.
you found Christine yet? There
Yeah.
she
That would
is.
be
Hello, Christine.
Great. We're a little early. Well, that's a great shot. Hold it steady there. Excellent. This always strikes me because when I was 19, I was hitchhiking around Europe and traveling the world, having a lot of fun, and everybody my age that was an American was in Vietnam. And we used to meet quite a few of them on leave in Europe. And it was like night and day because they'd been through such hell, and here we were still just kids, and these guys had grown up really quick. And you could see it in their eyes that they just weren't the same anymore.
And John, I can give some more information about the Vietnam Memorial. Holler if there's too much feedback. But the memorial was founded by Jan Scruggs, served in Vietnam from 1969 to 1970 as an infantry corporal, and he wanted that memorial to acknowledge and recognize the service and sacrifice of all who served in Vietnam. So on July 1st, 1980, in the Rose Garden, President Jimmy Carter signed the legislation to provide a site in Constitution Gardens, which is what you're seeing live right now near the Lincoln Memorial. It was a 3.5-year task to build this memorial and to orchestrate a celebration to salute those who served in Vietnam. A lot of people talk about the official name of the memorial, and you're seeing the names of the soldiers right there. It's sometimes referred to as the Wall, and the figures that you see at the entrance to the memorial when you first come in, they're called the Three Service Men. This is not a war memorial, but it is a memorial to those who served in the war, both living and dead.
There's quite a controversy at the time when it came out, but I think that couldn't have been done any better.
Construction actually began in 1982, and groundbreaking took place then in March of 1982. The Gilbane Building Company was the general contractor, and the wall was eventually completed in late October and dedicated to the veterans in 1982. A lot of people ask who paid for the memorial. The Vietnam Memorial Fund was raised nearly $9 million entirely through private contributions from corporations, foundations, unions, veterans, and civic organizations, and more than 275,000 individual Americans. No federal funds were needed at all to build this memorial. And if you're just joining us, you're watching live in Washington, D.C., and this is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. The wall was actually designed by an undergraduate at Yale University. Maya Ying Lin was born in Ohio in 1959. Her parents fled from China in 1949 when Mao Zedong took control of China, and she is a native-born American citizen. She acted as a consultant with the architectural firm on the construction of this memorial. She wanted to create, in a sense, a park within a park, a quiet, protected place into itself in the Constitutional Gardens, which is what you're looking at right now. And you'll notice people are leaving items at the bottom of the wall. As you walk through the wall, you can see flowers, you can see notes, flags that people have left, notes that they've written to their sons, their daughters, their uncles on there, and it's fascinating to walk by there and see not only the names, but also some of the items that people have left for individuals to view as they walk by. The walls have a mirror-like surface, and you'll kind of see that. You see how they're totally reflective, and that's polished black granite. Polished black granite. That's the consistency of the walls. It reflects the images of the surrounding trees, the lawns, the monuments, and the visitors as well. And the walls, they seem to stretch way away in the distance, and it directs us towards the Washington Monument in the east. So Ron, I don't know if you're able to turn to your right, but to show the Washington Monument so people can see it, just to give themselves a little bit of an orientation. So there it is, right there to the east.
Beautiful day in Washington, D.C.
Yeah. And then to the west is the Lincoln Memorial, and that therefore it brings the Vietnam Veterans Memorial into a historical context, I guess you could say, nestled between the Washington Monument and between the Lincoln Memorial as well. Maya Yingling's, the individual who designed the wall, her name does appear on the wall along with the names of the officers of the Vietnam Memorial Funds, the architects, and it's at the apex of the curve along the very top of the memorial. The memorial kind of tapers off. It starts very small, and then it gradually gets larger, and the wall gets larger as the sidewalk then descends as you walk by it.
Okay, there's Robert at the Eternal Flame.
Okay.
In front of the Parliament building. You're on, Robert.
Yes, you can see the Eternal Flame with the Parliament in the background. And as I stand here at the side of the ground, and I can read, this flame was lighted by Prime Minister Lester Pearson on the eve of New Year's Day 1967 to mark the first 100 years of Confederation. The coats of arms of the provinces and the territories encircled the flame. Flowers of the provinces and territories and the dates they joined Confederation are carved on the coping of the mountain. Let's have a look at some details.
There was a story that Prime Minister Trudeau was walking home and then noticed the flame had gone out and casually relit and walked on. He was quite a guy. He walked from his house to the Parliament building with no security most nights. Ron, can you help Christine?
Christine's ready for an invite. Huh? Mute who? Yeah. And Ron is saying that she's not getting a signal, and Christine is ready for an invite.
She's been invited.
Okay. Sounds like she's not getting a signal. What's fueling that flame, Robert?
I cannot tell. It's very interesting because you see it's a fountain and the flame at the same time. But I'm smelling gas, so I believe it's maybe natural gas.
Ron, can you start transmitting again?
That the water doesn't take the flame out. And I'm looking now again to the north, the Parliament building. And to give you the orientation, that's the building that we have seen before. And so this direction is the War Memorial Monument that we have seen at the beginning.
It's like some individuals from China, I think, there.
Ron, are you there?
Robert, what's the weather like there? I see people in jackets.
Yeah, at the moment it's a little bit cool, but the rain has stopped, so we have a gray sky, but a very peaceful weather if you have a nice jacket.
You might as well walk right up to the Parliament building, Robert. Show us the front entrance.
Okay.
Oh, there we're back at the... Oh, we were for a second.
The Prime Minister just passed by.
No, I'm not sure about that.
We'll drop by and say hello.
John, can you invite Michael Frazier of the 9/11 Memorial? I sent you his link earlier.
Yep.
Actually, the continents are coming together again. 1 or 2 weeks ago, I believe, the Canadian Prime Minister was in Brussels to sign a trade agreement between the European Union and Canada.
He's walking up the steps there in Ottawa, which is where he is right now. John, while he's walking up there, could you talk to the individuals here about the history of virtual photo walks and what virtual photo walks does?
This started as a way of ending some of the isolation for people who couldn't walk or were bedridden, and came up with the idea of smartphone-enabled photographers around the world transmitting back into Google Hangouts, which was cool in itself. But then we started connecting with individuals who were ill or needed some kind of break in their day through could be illness or death of a loved one, something like this. And it's really grown now to 3 and a bit million followers, and we're into hospitals around the world, and many people are starting to benefit from the experience. And it's just live, real time, people taking the time to help other people, and there's no charge. And we just try to lighten the load for the people that can't hike or do all the things they used to do in their lives.
Looks like Ron is at the Korean Memorial right now.
Oh, good.
Okay, we'll go there.
I always thought that statue was amazing.
That's the Vietnam. Yeah, he's at Vietnam. And you sent something, can you email Michael Frazier? His email's on my account. Looks like that actually is the Vietnam Memorial, not the Korean. So those are the 3 service members. And I can tell you a little bit about the sculpture there. Sculptor Frederick Hart from Georgia, he was the highest ranking sculptor in the design competition. His sculpture depicts 3 servicemen, also referred to as 3 fighting men or 3 infantrymen. And the sculpture is slightly larger than real life, and it was cast in bronze in a process called patina. It produced a rich variety of color variations. The figures are young, they wear uniforms, and they carry the equipments of war. And the statues show the men as emerging out of the woods, looking vulnerable and alone. They look directly towards the apex of the wall, of the Vietnam Wall, located about 150 feet away. The figures were unveiled in 1984, and Mr. Hart received $330,000 for his work. There are 58,272 names listed on the Vietnam Memorial. Approximately 1,200 of the names are listed as missing in action. And that's live from the memorial, and right behind them there are books, there are catalogs posted on metal poles, catalogs that have been used so much to look up the names of the fallen that the pages are frayed. But that's where individuals go to look up the names of their service member on the wall before they come into the Vietnam Memorial. That's how they locate them. They locate them in a catalog. The first known casualty of the Vietnam War was Richard Fitzgibbon of Massachusetts in 1956. His name is listed on the wall with that of his son, Richard Fitzgibbon, who was a casualty in 1965. John?
I think it's a true fact that if you had to have the war and you could only draft 40-year-old men, there would be no wars. Because young men are exploited, and once you get a little age, you just wouldn't do this. You'd have to talk to the leaders and say, there's got to be a better way, guys. It's just such a waste.
Robert, what are we seeing there that you're looking at?
I'm right at the entrance of the Parliament building. The front is reserved for Parliament personnel only. The visitor entrance is to the side. And here I found a stone with an inscription. It says, this stone was laid by Edward, Prince of Wales, September 1st. In this year of victory, Finis Coronat Opus, 1919. And there's lots of interesting details to the work of this building.
Should we try to email that link to Michael Fraser?
We did. You got him out of his out of office as well.
We did. He should be joining here shortly. We told him 4 p.m. his time, so he should be joining in a minute.
Okay.
That's a beautiful.
Go ahead.
I was just say, Robert, that's beautiful. What kind of stone is that made out of? Or I mean, tell us a little. Is it limestone? Can you tell?
Yeah, I couldn't tell what it is. But it's very deep with all the details. So you'll see it's not just engraved in the front, but it's some kind of three-dimensional object. Everything is like a little monument. I turn around to the distance, so at the end of this park, in front of the Parliament building, there was the flag. And if you want to see the Victory War Monument, it's a little bit to the left, in a park on the other side of the main street.
Beautiful.
We're actually going to be streaming from the Parliamentary Library in the next month or so, which is taken forever to get permission. We'll do it.
There's bells.
It's 4 o'clock. The Parliament building is limestone.
Well, I'll call you back here in a little bit. I'm busy right now.
And that is the Washington Monument.
You hear me?
Oh,
Right there.
here's Michael.
Okay. And Michael Fraser just joined. Just to introduce you guys to Michael. Michael is in New York. He is at the 9/11 Memorial in New York. And we'll be sharing some stories and some images about the memorial here shortly. So hi, Michael. Are you able to hear us, or are you just getting set up? I think you're just getting set up. So we'll wait until you're ready. We've been taking these individuals here in Fulton to Canada, and also they've seen the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. as well. And Robert Redl from Austria, who is in Canada right now, showing us some images from Ottawa and the Parliament building there. Robert, what's that we're looking at?
That's the side entrance of the Parliament. It's also reserved for parliamentary personnel only. So very busy politicians are running in and out of the building.
I'm busy right now. I'll have to call you back in a little bit, okay?
Be careful, Robert. You're our newest import. You might be our latest export if you get too close to those entrances.
Oh yeah, I see lots of limousines and
They're the boys.
Okay,
Ron?
so I won't disturb them during their office.
Ron was showing us a picture of the Washington monuments in Washington, D.C. And Ron, I don't know if you're able to introduce yourself and tell individuals a little bit about your story. You're a veteran yourself. Oh, there's Michael. Hi, Michael. Are you able to hear us?
I can hear you. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Okay.
Thanks
Great.
for inviting me to this program.
Michael, we'll let you take it away, and we'll try to mute. Let's see. Michael, can you give us a microphone check? For some reason, we're not hearing your audio on our
Sure.
end.
Hello, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I will mute on our end.
Never asking them.
1, 2, 3. Check.
I can see his video.
You can see his video,
Yeah, he's moving.
but you can see it on yours. How about you, John Butterill? Are you able to see Michael Fraser's video?
I can try hopping out and coming back in.
No, I can hear.
I can see and hear Michael perfectly.
Are we able to hear Michael?
Yes.
Okay, for some reason on our end, we're not able to see or hear him. But Michael, go ahead, and we're going to bring up another laptop so the veterans can hear and see you. So if you would like to go ahead and talk with him, that would be great.
I'd be honored to. How's everyone doing? And I just want to say it's great to join everybody here. John, how are you doing?
Very good.
That's great. It's great. I want to share with you guys some photos of the memorial here in New York City.
Okay, now try.
We opened in 2010, and since then we've had more than 10 million visitors from all over the world.
We're going to
See if I
drop
can
out
go
for a
you
second
and
here?
show you some photos here.
Okay, we're going to drop out for a second.
One second there. Let me get something up for you.
Michael, Sarah just dropped out for a minute. She asked if you can hold on 1 second. She's gonna.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I can wait for Sarah.
And Mike, just so you know, on the side, if you open up your chat, we can communicate off to the side a little bit during your broadcast.
It's open now.
Perfect. Thanks.
what's going on, Robert?
Right, we're ready, Michael. Whenever.
Okay. How you doing? Can you hear me, Sarah?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Perfect. I was just saying I'd like to share some photos of the 9/11 Memorial with everyone, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
That's great. Like I said, since 2010, we have more than 10 million visitors, and a lot of those have been veterans. We've had servicemen and women from every military branch. Show you a few here. Here you'll see we placed yellow roses on the memorial on last year's Memorial Day. This for first responders. There's a Marine sharing a personal moment with a family member, his daughter presumably. From the very beginning, we acknowledged the work and effort of not only our first responders, but also the servicemen and women who, after the attacks, came to Ground Zero to help pave the way. We've had, like I mentioned, we've had members of the military in every branch. Here we've had Ty Carter, the Medal of Honor winner. And as you see here, this is Dakota Meyer. We've had Admiral James Stavridis as well. Here you see Army General Martin Dempsey. We've also had Army General Keith Alexander. And we had a number of four-star generals come to our memorial. All have traveled to pay their respects, and understanding that a lot of these people who serve today did so. They enlisted and signed up in response to the attacks of 9/11 that took nearly 3,000 people's lives. This is the IAVA, or Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. They had a ceremony on our plaza. Here you'll see the Wounded Warriors Project. This is actually a photo taken before the memorial was open itself, and it's hard to see, but the second guy from the right is Ted Bushi. He's the former New England player, so he's very active with the Wounded Warrior Project, and he came in support before we opened. And how the memorial is designed, people who knew someone who died, particularly on the Pentagon section, where there was 125 lives lost. Here you see them etching a name that they would like to take back with them from the memorial. And here's a special ceremony we had where yellow ribbons was tied to what's called a survivor tree. And this tree is a very special tree. After the attacks, it was nursed back to health. It was nothing but a stump when it was found. It was nursed back to health in a nursery in the Bronx. We replanted this tree back to the original site it was taken from, and it's grown and become an icon of resiliency and courage. And you see people tying yellow ribbons there. And as I mentioned before, the Pentagon section of the memorial here, there's a tribute you see the tribute here with the United States flags placed at the memorial. Now, those who don't know the memorial's design, it's these two massive, enormous reflecting pools that sit within the original footprint of the Twin Towers. And ringing both of those pools is bronze with the descriptions of the 2,983 victims' names, not only in the attacks in New York, but also in Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. We also have the 6 names of the victims who were killed in the 1993 bombing at the World Trade Center, the first attack on the site. And as I mentioned, we've had people from everywhere come to visit. Even to this day, there's a number of enlistment services that happens at the World Trade Center site. The men and women who are signing up today still feel this is a special place, and before they serve, they want to have that ceremony here at the 16-acre site. Oh, I should also mention to everyone that this week, which started today, is the Salute to Service at the 9/11 Memorial. So if you happen to be in New York City, there's a number of activities that we are doing as a Salute to Service. Starting today, we have began the tribute, recognizing all of our veterans, their families, and their friends. We have a number of activities that's happening throughout the week. And even on Sunday, we're going to have a dedicated broadcast on MSNBC, thanking veterans, and the 9/11 Memorial is going to be the backdrop. As part of Sunday as well, we'll have a commemoration ceremony to the lead up of Veterans Day. And on Veterans Day itself, the 9/11 Memorial will be placing yellow roses at the inscribed names of those killed in the attacks who had served in the U.S. military. And we'll also have yellow roses available for people who are visiting that day to place at a name for the Veterans Day New. And so if you are in New York City, we would love for you to come here. But you know, with hangouts like this, it's great that if you're not able to come here in Lower Manhattan, we could try to bring the memorial to you.
Excellent. That's what it's all about.
Michael, yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And it's a beautiful memorial, and hats off to you for all of the great work that you're doing. And we certainly appreciate you taking time out of your day to show these veterans that. Thank you so very much.
Absolutely. Everyone, it was a distinct honor. And Sarah, you guys are doing really incredible work. Keep it up. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ron's at the Korean War Memorial. I've never seen this one before. That is dramatic. I've seen some pictures with the snow on all the statues. It's really compelling.
All within walking distance.
I was just saying, this is really a memorial to see at night. It's fascinating to watch. They have lights on all of the soldiers moving through there, and you really kind of feel like you are in the middle of their move to wherever they're going. And they also have mirrored black granite reflections, so it appears as if they're walking through water or puddles. Those shiny places that you see in between the sculptures are actually polished granite. And right there you see Korean soldiers and American soldiers as well. Their images are implanted in a reflecting way, so that when you peer into the memorial, it appears as if you're looking in their faces.
It looks like a real patrol. It really does.
This is just within walking distance of the Vietnam Memorial. So when you're in Washington, D.C., you could walk from the Washington, D.C. Memorial to the Korean Memorial and then to Vietnam as well. All three of them are right there. And again, this is Ron McCready. He is a veteran himself. Hey, Ron, you want to tell people about yourself?
13 years, starting in '82. Supported Desert Storm by training Air Force soldiers.
So we met Ron on Google Plus, and he was so kind to offer his day to show us his memorial.
We've got Christine in here now.
She's on the other side.
So we got both angles. I just find that so eerie.
It looks really real. The design and all of their faces look extremely real when you're there.
And I can tell you a little bit about the memorial. It's located in West Potomac Park, and it's, again, just southeast of the Lincoln Memorial and just south of the reflecting pool on the National Mall. It commemorates all of those individuals who served in the Korean War. And it was funded in 1986. President Bush, George W. Bush, conducted the groundbreaking for that memorial in 1992, which was on Flag Day. Isn't it interesting how long we've waited to build these memorials in the United States to the people who so bravely fought for our freedom? Hopefully we're not going to wait that long for Iraq and Afghanistan to build their memorials. The memorial itself is in the form of a triangle intersecting within a circle. The walls are 164 feet long, 8 inches thick, more than 100 tons of highly polished Academy black granite from California, more than 2,500 photographs, archival images representing the land, the sea, and the air troops who supported those who fought in the war, and sandblasted onto the wall. Within those walled triangles are 19 stainless steel statues designed by Frank Gaylord, each larger than life, between 7 feet 3 inches tall and 7 feet 6 inches tall. Each weighs nearly 1,000 pounds. Now, when reflected on the wall, there appears to be 38 soldiers, and these 38 soldiers represent the 38th parallel of those 38 soldiers. This black granite wall is 164 feet long. It was created by Lewis Nelson, depicting soldiers, equipment, and people involved in the war. This forms the second side of the triangle, and the third side of the triangle faces towards the Lincoln Memorial, and that area is open. And there are the soldiers that you see in the midst.
I talked to a Korean veteran, Canadian fellow. He said he spent a whole night throwing grenades. He says as fast as he could pick them up out of the box, he was throwing them. He spent the whole night. He said he didn't know how anybody got out of it alive, but they didn't fire any shots. They just threw grenades down the hill all night. Amazing. They're just incredible stories that these guys have, and very rarely do any of these fellows talk about it, but every so often they'll let something slip, and you just look at them and you go, oh my God, how did you get through that?
The trees that are there at the memorial are actually shaped into a barrel effect. And there it's talking about the individuals, the architects, the sculptor that we mentioned, Frank Gaylord II, are listed right there, and the muralist of the individuals who sandblasted onto that black granite wall there.
It's an amazing technique. I just find that so compelling to see the actual faces.
Yeah. In the Korean War, sometimes we forget that 54,000 people died during the Korean War. 54,000 people, and wounded that was for the United States, and wounded in the Korean War. 103,000, more than 103,000 people were wounded from United States troops during the Korean War. Captured, 7,000 were captured, and missing 8,000 were captured during the Vietnam War. Listed there. USA casualties, 54,246, and UN casualties, 628,000. For the Korean War, correct. And then missing, there's the number there, 8,177 for the United States, and missing in the Korean War, 460,267. And there's a reflecting pool that's there. The captured, 7,000 captured for the United States, and for the United Nations, 92,970 captured.
So it was Australia, UK, Turkey, Canada, Greece. It was a true United Nations effort.
Mm-hmm. That circle that you're seeing just above that, it's a shallow pool. It's 30 feet in diameter. It's lined with black granite, and it's surrounded by a grove of trees with benches. And that's called the Pool of Remembrance right there. And the trees are really uniquely shaped. They really create like a barrel effect, and it allows the sun to reflect on the pool. And inscriptions are listing the number of the killed, missing in action, and also those held prisoners of war. But it's really neat to see how they've trimmed those trees for that sunlight to reflect just right, to reflect the images of those trees at the Pool of Remembrance. And again, that's at the Korean Memorial. And nearby, a granite wall bears the simple message, and it's inlaid in silver, and it says, "Freedom is not free." And there you see it right there. Freedom is not free. Thank you, Ron. Much appreciated.
Glad to help.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we so appreciate your time today showing us these memorials, and Christina as well, and Robert Reddle in Canada. Can't thank you enough for sharing your time, and John, Bruce, and Michael for facilitating that. Much appreciated.
Stay tuned. We're going to Seoul, Korea to the Korean War Memorial.
Sounds good. And is Christina, are you able to go to the World War II Memorial? Is one of you able to walk over there?
Yeah, imagine.
Yeah, if you could, that would be great. And we'll wait. We have a few more minutes, but if you could head that way, that'd be great. Bruce, do you want to introduce yourself? We haven't heard from you.
Hey everybody, my name is Bruce Gardner, co-founder of Virtual Photo Walks with John Butterell, with partners creating this over the past 2 years. And it's such an honor and a privilege to be able to connect with our veterans from around the world, actually, with our photographers that dedicated time and technology and knowledge to be able to bring to us some of these fantastic images that we're seeing from different memorials today.
This is a truly global effort.
You see Ron's walking there from the Korean Memorial. It's a bit of a you see it here in a couple minutes. There's some sights to see on the right-hand side of where he's walking. There's a pool there, and he's walking toward the Washington Memorial. And on the other side of the Washington Memorial is the World War II Memorial.
Robert, just pan up and show the statue behind you. You've got a good angle there. That's great.
That's Robert. That's Robert. Oh. He's muted.
Yeah, I'm back where we started at the War Monument and the Unknown Soldier. And I just wanted to say goodbye to everyone because it's actually here in the Eastern Time Zone getting dark. Thank you all for participating. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Robert. Bye.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much. Bye.
See you soon, Robert.
Christina is actually, looks like she's nearing the World War II Memorial. So around the bend is the World War II Memorial, and you see the Washington Monument right there in the distance. And hopefully we'll be able to see that. He's going to pause for the walk. Okay. Ron has paused for the walk, and I think he's going to run that way so that maybe we'll be able to show that.
I think I over big time. I think it was pretty cold in Ottawa.
Yeah, there's a World War II memorial. Yeah, on TV. Yeah, they're going to show pictures of it. Oh, you're too down. No, you're not too down. I'm too down.
Hi.
They're walking in Washington, D.C. here.
I don't give a damn where they're at.
This is quite a hike. Michael, should we ping Jay Hun soon? Let's see what he was in. Let me look.
And on the right-hand side, where Christine is walking as she passes by, is actually the World War I Memorial. It's a very small memorial. A lot of people sometimes forget that it even exists there in Washington, D.C., but it's right to her right-hand side as she's walking.
The scale of the First World War just puts everything else. I think, what was it? Canada lost 96,000 guys in one afternoon at the Battle of the Somme, something like that. It's just insane, the casualty rates of that war.
John, could you give Ron an invite? He might be there. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Jamie, is there anything that you would like to say, sir?
I just wanted to thank our veterans for their service. I have quite a few family members that served, and I appreciate everyone.
We're getting close.
You know, as Christina is continuing to walk to the World War II Memorial, you know, a lot of times when we thank our servicemen and our veterans for the sacrifice and the contribution that they've given to our country, a lot of times we forget about the families that have also left at home, that have also made the sacrifice, and the thoughts that they give their loved ones as they're traveling around the country fighting the war for us, to giving us the freedoms that we have and sometimes take for granted on a daily basis. So we don't want to forget to thank not only our veterans, but their families that have given up so much as well.
What is it, some ratio that for every man on the front lines, there's close to 100 or something behind them, working to supply them and feed them and all the infrastructure it takes? I think that show, Finding Private Ryan, says it all. You know, when you think about whole families go over with all their sons go over, and at some point there's only one left. That's just unbelievable commitment that people make. And Sarah mentioned the father died in Vietnam in '56, and his son died later, 10 years later. You know, this is.
Yeah, what Christina was showing you, and feel free to keep walking, Christina. What she showed earlier was the World War II memorial. Yeah, and you can keep going to World War II because that's what they really want to see is World War II. But that was the World War I memorial that she showed with the pillars. Yep, that's it. Yep, and hopefully Ron, maybe Ron is there.
I pinged him.
Okay.
He hasn't. I'll buy you a new pair of shoes, Christine.
John, I've pinged for Jahan to come into the hangout as well.
Okay.
So let's see how he's getting on.
Might be still dark there, but depends on how early he got up.
It's only 7 o'clock. Was it 6:30? So he said he was going to get in early anyway.
He's dedicated. I will shoot him the link.
Yeah, I've already shot him a link through the chat.
Oh, you did.
That's the entrance to the World War II memorial right there, and you'll notice there are buses. Those are honor flight buses that are pulling up with veterans from all around the nation who want the ability to see their memorial. And they come during all hours of the day. They visit the World War II memorial. They visit Arlington National Cemetery. They take World War II veterans. They take Korean veterans. They take Vietnam veterans. And a lot of the individuals that you'll see at the memorial coming up here in probably about 30 seconds are just are honor flight veterans visiting their memorials. What she's passing by now is a registry area where veterans pause, family members pause to look up their names, and I'll share that link with you so that you can look up CT's name and see that it's listed.
There's no names on the World War II. It's only the Vietnam.
And you can see it right through there, so she's getting close.
Run, Christine.
Run, Christine. Don't run, Christine. Don't run, Christine. The image is looking really interesting.
So you see the pillars right there? all of those pillars represents this different states of the Union and how they entered into during the war. And that's the entrance. That's the World War II Memorial. Opal, that's the World War II Memorial. It says the Pacific Theater right there. The Pacific Theater.
Yeah, we went back. So
Yeah.
we saw that.
And the bronze sculpture with the relief panels right there. And the rainbow pool is just ahead.
Yeah, we saw that.
So those pavilions, they're 43 feet tall. Those pavilions are. And there's a 9-foot high freedom wall as well. And that is the rainbow pool. That's called the rainbow pool right there. Yeah.
Texas.
So there.
No.
This is in Washington, D.C.
Oh, that's Washington.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Washington, D.C. And the reason why the memorial was built was by eloquently coined by President Truman. And he says, and it's inscribed on the walls somewhere of this memorial, it says, "Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifices." Just some of the memorial quotes that are inscribed there at your World War II memorial. The memorial is about 6 feet below grade and includes 56 identical white pillars arranged in 2 semicircles surrounding the central plaza. And each pillar bears the name of the 48 states that were part of the U.S. during World War II. There's also one for the territories of Alaska and Hawaii, as well as Puerto Rico, Guam, the Philippines, American Samoa, and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Looks like we have Ron as well back now. When doing a virtual photo walk, just keep low and move slow, and it'll all be fine.
I thought that was Sarah just then.
Just hold it steady, Christine. Don't pan too fast. Slowly.
Yeah, people get seasick when they watch.
You really want a series of still shots rather than a lot of
movement.
Because of the pixelation, you want it to all kind of catch up to itself. That's great.
You can start to see some of the shadows as the sun's setting in Washington, it looks like. Nice pictures. Beautiful, Christina.
Blind veterans.
Christina, can you go to the relief panels, the bronze relief panels on the side and by the flagpoles in the front so we can see some of those pictures? Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I usually end up probably every year we go. Yeah. Christina, I don't know if are you still there? It looks like your shot froze, but we just wanted to say thank you so much for showing that that to us. To your right hand side, if you look to your right, all along that ball is where those panels are, right to your right on your right hand side. And there they are. Do you see them? The black ones?
Yeah, I see them.
And those are panels where sight impaired veterans can go up and feel them, and they can still experience the stories of the memorial by tactile, by touching them, and they're scenes of celebration, scenes of sadness, and scenes of medics. And if you walk all along that wall there, Christina, you can see some of the other images. John, Bruce, Christina, Ron, Michael, so appreciate your time today. We just wanted to thank you so much for showing this to us. Much appreciated.
You're very welcome, Sarah. It's an honor to do this.
No problem. No problem. We'll see you later. Thank you so very much.
Imagine the amount of work that went into putting this together, though. It's just the carving and stuff. This is frozen out at the minute. Yeah, you're muted, John. Or am I muted?
I am. My phone was ringing. Okay, we've lost her.
We've lost her for a minute, but that's all right.
That's an epic show. That was really good. And we started on time, which, Bruce, I don't think we've ever done that before.
We've been close. We've been close.
In 18 months, have we ever started on time? I think we can just shut down and forget it now. If we started on time once, we've attained the pinnacle there. Oh. All right, Jahan, where are you?
Yeah, I'm just.
What time is it there?
6:45.
7:45. That's about right. He'll be another few minutes then. He's likely on a bus getting there.
Yeah. So I've pinged him, see where he is, but he's not up yet.
So for those of you that are watching the live broadcast, John, tell us who we're waiting for and where we're going next.
We're going with Jahan, who's part of our virtual Photo Walks Korea community, and now we're back in the World War II Memorial, but we're going to Seoul, Korea, to the Korean War Memorial. It's a beautiful building and really honors the sacrifice made by all the men and women to make South Korea free. And starting around 1951, they built an amazing nation in just a few years. 50, 60 years, and look at them now. So they're very proud of that, and they should be. Great job, Christina. This is looking good. You can walk back down to towards the water, Christina, and back up into that either the archway on the left or right, whichever is closest. If you point your camera straight up, there's some great relief statues inside those arches.
And as you're noticing, Christina, also as you're walking around, you might see the wall of stars, which is very interesting to see as well.
Oh, I just spilt my coffee all over myself. I'll be right back.
As long as he missed the computer, we're all good.
So, Christina, what are you seeing? What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's very impressionable, especially with the sunset here and the water.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. There are a lot of youngsters here, I think, on high school trips. Okay, so I'm walking back up to one of the archways here.
Well, that's great. That's the angle.
And I'm just going to leave the camera here.
Look up. Look way up. There you go. I'd like to thank Verizon for helping Virtual Photo Walks out with some of the gear and bandwidth on this show. They have been generously sending us the odd bit of gear that has come in very useful. An unabashed plug for the guys helping us.
Well-deserved plug.
Darn right. We love Verizon LTE. If anybody watched the last year's piece that was featured on NBC, that was in Hawaii at the Arizona. That was all Verizon as well. And it was really clear. You get to be a connoisseur of bandwidth when you do this after a while. That's a great shot. Now look down at your feet.
Oh, hold on to that shot for one moment, Christina. Please, can you go back to that?
Sorry, what was that?
Can you go back to that plaque, Christina, just for a moment?
Sure.
Yeah, just hold nice and steady on that. Center that right up in the middle there. You go just a little higher, tilt down just a little bit more. Perfect, right there. Just hold that for a second, please. That's good. Unbelievable. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now you can walk straight forward to the edge, and we can see out on the fountain from that raised area. It's really nice. Right where he's standing. Oh, look at the way the light's starting to hit this. It's really pretty. We've never been here this late.
Yeah, I know it. It's that golden hour just before sunset that's hitting that reflective pool brilliantly right now. Well, we have Christina on location, so she coordinated that. She set that right up.
I can't believe that phone's still working.
I can.
Why?
Because we set it up right.
Oh, I see.
And it's working.
We started on time. Hangouts are working. The phones are working.
What's that, Christina?
Oh,
I was just
sorry
having a
about
chat.
that. Someone asked me to take a picture.
Oh, that's good.
And that's what you're there for.
And Christina, walk up to them and interview them. Ask them their feelings about the memorial.
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat that?
I was going to say, if you feel the urge, and there's somebody that you think is
a veteran
that would comply, a veteran, and ask them their feelings about the memorial and so forth. If you can find a veteran that's there, that would be very nice.
Okay,
Let them know that
I'm
we're.
going to take one more picture of this guy. Actually,
Sure.
maybe I can ask him.
Sure, you
Okay,
can.
what are your feelings about the memorial?
Very moving, actually.
He says it's very moving.
And it is, I don't know if it's as grand as the whole war was, but it's, you know, it definitely is moving.
Okay.
Christina, ask him if he's a veteran himself.
Are you a veteran?
No, I'm not.
He's not.
Family members?
Do you have family members that are veterans?
I don't actually.
Oh my goodness.
He has friends. He has friends.
Friends,
Okay, I'm going to take a picture of him.
Ask him what brought him to the memorial today.
Okay. What brought you to the memorial?
I was just here in Washington and trying to see all the memorials. This wasn't open the last time I was here, which was about, I don't know, 12 years ago. So.
Oh, okay.
So this is one of the few that had.
Okay. He said he was in the, in D.C. and the memorial was closed last time he was here.
Okay.
So he wanted to see it.
Perfect. Nice job, Christina.
I was going to...
So if we find another veteran, Christina, that would be willing to speak to us and offer their feelings, just let them know that we're streaming this live to the internet right now, and that we would like to ask you a couple questions. Would you mind answering a few questions on your feelings about the memorial? That way it lets them know what we're doing and so forth, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find one. Seems like the only people here are high schoolers.
Well, maybe they have parents. If you can, I want to walk up to the children, but if you see a teacher, you might ask the teacher some questions and what brings them to bring the class to the memorial and so forth.
Yeah, we don't want to get too close to any youths.
Yeah, you want to stick with the adults, the teachers and the vets themselves.
Yeah, we don't want to identify any kids.
Right.
And it's getting late in the day for most of them.
Mm.
Are you guys going to Korea at 5?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
You can stay with us as long as you like. We're waiting for them to join. Christina, were you able to see that wall of stars? I think it's in that area someplace. There's a reflecting pool in front of it, and then a wall of gold stars, I believe.
Oh. Okay, I think I know where it is. Hold on. I'll take you guys there.
Thank you. I can't remember the statistics. Every star represents 500 fallen soldiers, is it? Something to that effect?
It's an astronomical number.
Yeah, it's a big number. Maybe it was 1,000. I can't recall. There it is across the pond. That's a very powerful image.
We've had such a struggle with Hangouts over the last few months that it's really quite heartening to see everything working this well. That's great.
There's Ron.
Rod's joining us from the car.
Yeah. No battery left.
Gotcha.
You can walk right, yeah, you're getting close, Christine.
Ron, we were trying to remember. Christine is taking us to the wall of stars, and for every star represents a certain number of fallen soldiers. I can't remember that number. Do you know offhand?
I thought it was 4,048, but it's written on a plaque in front of the stars.
Okay, Christina, maybe you can find that for us and let us know what it represents in the official engraving.
Do you know the nicest thing with this, John, is
we're right by the wall of stars now. It says, "Here we mark the price of freedom."
There was a plaque at the base by the railing there that talked about it. I thought it was to the left of the stars.
Oh, okay. I see it. I see it.
Oh, yeah.
Can you guys see it?
Yeah, I mean, just give us a nice steady shot of that. 4,048, you were right, Ron.
I happened to walk by it the hour prior.
Mm-hmm.
405,399 American dead and missing in the Second World War.
the colours are great though. The colours in the evening are really interesting, and the hangout's actually enhancing the image.
We should send Boris or one of our guys down there to do time lapse on this. Somebody could have a lot of fun with this with the right weather and some time lapse gear and some video. So anybody's out there listening, there's a project for you.
The weather was beautiful today. I mean, right now it's only 7.
So I'm running out of battery. So I will have to end.
Before you end, is it possible for you to stand in front of the camera so we can give you a proper goodbye and thank you?
Sure, sure.
Hey.
Thank you so much, Christina, for doing this for us. You did a beautiful job, some great images as the sun's setting in Washington, D.C. over the World War II Memorial. Thank you very much for all your time and effort today.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
I'll see y'all later. I gotta
Christine.
go pay my parking ticket now.
Okay. Send me the bill.
Well,
Christine contacted Virtual Photo Walks because she works for an organization for the disabled, and we discussed her sending out a newsletter and helping get the word out about us. And when we decided to do this epic walk around the world, we needed somebody in Washington, so she volunteered, and we helped her get some gear and trained her, and she's officially on our team.